Hey guys, I'm Josh.
I'm Shonnie.
And are you about to buy a house? Maybe you're looking at the contract, 1-4 residential breakdown. Here in this video, we're going to talk about page 2
through 4.
There you go, right now. To be the best, you have to hustle. And I truly believe my wife Shonnie, she's the best. Hey guys, Josh and Shonnie here. We're your local realtors here in the Dallas greater area here, and we are going to bring to you today the second part of our series of the 1-4 single family breakdown residential contract. And Shonnie, do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about page 2 through 4.
Okay.
Items 6 and 7, which are all about title policy and survey.
And your girl Shonnie right here is someone who does all of our negotiations and contract management all the way to close for each and every client. So you're about to get a detailed snapshot of each individual page through this series. And today we're going to talk about, again, page 2 through, what is it again?
4.
4. So are you guys ready to start? Because I am.
Me too.
All right, starting now. So title policy and the survey, we're looking at line number 6, right, in the 1-4 residential contract as we break it down here. And the 6A, this line describes, as we look here, is going to pay for the owner's title policy and list the title company who will provide it. Okay, so one thing to really understand is this section is also a list of all of the exceptions and exclusions of the title policy, which is a crucial thing when you're looking at 6A here. Now, another thing to also look at is this section also outlines a bullet 8 provided a place to determine if the title policy will be amended for corrections and who will pay for the cost. Okay, so that's an essential thing when you're looking at the 6A here in the 1-4 single family residential purchase contract. Okay, now let's go ahead and slide down to 6B, where it talks about the commitment. This is a section basically where that gives the amount of the time the title company has to deliver the title documents. That's right. So for the owner's title policy, also to mention, if the buyer does not receive the documents within 3 days of closing, they can terminate the contract and get their earnest money back. Okay, and we all know that
nobody wants that to happen.
That's not a good thing. So let's go ahead as we move along here. 6A, which talks about the survey, of course. This section specifies who pays for the survey and how long they have to deliver it to the title company, right? When you're looking at a contract, always keep in mind that time is of the essence. So you always want to perform to the contract and know what you're looking at. Okay, here. So this section also is important. It specifies who pays for the survey if the seller has a survey but it's not accepted by the title company. All right. Now, number 6D. Okay, 6D are the objections.
I object.
I object, Your Honor. Okay, this is where the buyer would put anything they object to that they would learn about in regards to the survey, the defects, encumbrances, and exceptions of that nature. And also to mention that there is then a specified amount of time the buyer can object within, to get their earnest money back.
I wanted a pool.
That's right. So there's a lot of things that happen in this 6-part section of the second part of the contract here. Now, for an example, if if there's a pool that needs to be done, Shonnie, and they want a pool or they're objecting in this type of scenario, what kind of things can come up with looking at this section here?
Oh yeah.
In a real time example.
Oh yeah. For example, if there was an encumbrance on the HOA docs that said no homeowners can have a pool in the backyard, and you've got a buyer who has specifically told their agent, like, I want a pool in my backyard. Well, that would be cause for the buyer to back out and get their earnest money refunded to them, because there's an encumbrance on the property that's going to make it so they cannot do something that they intended to use the property for. So its intended use becomes obscured.
Oh wow, intended use. That's a good thing to know. So okay, 6E, as we slide on down here, talks about the title notices. This is where you find information regarding property in the HOA, abstract title policy, tax district, tidewaters, and the annexation, property located in a certified service area of utility service provider, right? We've even got public improvement districts, transfer fees, right, Shonnie?
Lots and lots of info.
Propane, gas system service area, notice of water level fluctuations. Did I miss anything?
No, man. I mean, they really packed this contract full of stuff. Full of it. So it's glad we're breaking it down, because otherwise you probably wouldn't even read this part, to be quite honest with you. You would just click, 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 done. Not even know what you're signing.
Yeah. Gotta love Shonnie when she's looking at contracts, because I gotta be brutally honest with you. This is her neck of the field, and she really does a great job. So we're going to go ahead and slide down to part 7 of the second page of the contract.
Yeah, guys. Okay, so we're on to part 7, which is going to talk about your property conditions. So this is a pretty important section, so listen up. All right, so 7A says that the seller has to give the buyer reasonable access to conduct inspections. This means the inspection for the purchase, the inspection for termites, the inspection for the roof, any kind of inspection, a foundation inspection, whatever kind of inspection you're going to get during your option period, the seller has to be willing to give you a reasonable amount of time to do that.
Interesting.
7B talks about the seller's disclosure, if it was delivered, when it has to be delivered, or if it's required at all. So in Texas, a seller's disclosure is not required if the property was inherited and the heirs have never lived in the property. So that's one instance where a seller's disclosure would not be required at all. Typically, the contract will say between 2 days to 3 days for a seller to give you the seller's disclosure, which tells you all the information and current conditions that the seller is aware of about the property. 7C talks about lead-based paint. The seller has to disclose to the buyer if they know about lead-based paint if the house was built prior to 1978. This is because back in the day, kids, they would eat the chips of lead-based paint and it could make them really sick and cause them to die. So a lot of the houses here in Texas are really old, but they've been redone or updated throughout the years, and nowadays the paint doesn't have lead in it anymore. So as long as the walls have been painted over, there's really no lead-based paint, but it's kind of a formality that Texas makes us abide by.
You're the best.
As we continue, 7D. This is where the buyer accepts the property in its current condition or accepts the property as long as whatever repairs they list are completed. So oftentimes, sometimes with our sellers, we put in the listing that we want buyers to make repairs up front. Or if the buyer knows they want the property cleaned before closing, they'll put it in this section because it's literally saying, I accept the property as is, as I see it. Not that you won't make any repair requests, because you still can, but just to the naked eye, you're accepting what you see. That's all that means. 7E are lender required repairs, which states neither party is required to pay for these unless in writing. If no one agrees, contract terminates and the buyer will get their earnest money back. Or if repairs are more than 5% of the purchase price, the buyer can terminate and get their earnest money back. This is important to note, especially in FHA deals, because the lender can require repairs. They have certain stipulations that a house has to pass in order for it to be lended on because the government's backing the loan. So this little stanza, I guess you can call it for lack of better terms, is really helpful because it gives both parties an out if the repairs that the lenders want are excessive, if they're unreasonable, or if a buyer or seller simply doesn't want to make them. You know, the buyer can back out and get their earnest money, or even the seller can say, you know, I'm not doing this, and they can terminate the contract too.
Yeah, so it's more of like a deeper scrub of your inspection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want to pay special close attention to it when you're doing FHA.
Yes.
So this line item is really important.
Yeah, and it's good because if you've got a good agent, they can kind of use this area that if you decide you don't want to go through with your contract, they can kind of use that part to get you out. That's what I would do anyway.
There you go.
All right, so 7F, completion of repairs, says that all repairs have to be completed prior to closing Or the buyer can choose to extend by 5 days or terminate the contract. Warranties can be transferred if parties agree. So, if you have a repair amendment and the repairs are supposed to be done before closing and they don't get made, buyer can walk away. Simple as that. Or you can extend 5 days, which most buyers at that point in time, they're going to extend to let the repairs get done because they want the house. Okay. So 7G. That's what we're on. 7G.
Environmental matters.
Environmental matters. If the buyer is concerned about location of the house and surrounding environment, a separate addendum should be used. So say the buyer is concerned that the property is in a mud district or in a floodplain, then there are addendums for those things to kind of give the buyer some more security. Maybe we'll make another video on it at a later time. All right, and 7H, residential service contract. Ooh, this is a good one. This is the space that the buyer requests a home warranty allowance from the seller. Completely optional. So a lot of times, but it's very standard too. So buyers will always, 9 times out of 10, ask for a home warranty, which covers the things inside the house, not outside the house, like the dishwasher, the refrigerator, the washer, dryer, that kind of stuff. In case when you move in, it breaks, then you can call your home warranty and they'll come out and fix it and charge you a small deductible. So it's handy to have, but it's negotiable, so sellers, you do not have to pay it if you don't want to. All right. And so, guys, dun, 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 dun.
That wraps it up from page 2 to what?
4.
All right, so, and this is the series that we talked about that we promised that we would give you really concrete breakdown of the 1 to 4 residential contract here in Texas. So you want to make sure that you tune in for the next video. It will be the third part, which will be featuring...
Video 3 is going to be
Page 5.
featuring page 5.
So y'all stay tuned for it. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe right now. Leave us a comment if you think that this was a good video. If you had any takeaways, what are your thoughts? Any questions in regard to the contract that we can extend on? Maybe make it a...
Drop it in the comments.
Maybe make it a 6-part series, you know?
I know.
So, yeah, guys, I'm Josh.
And I'm Shonnie.
All right, we love you.
Real stuff.
No fluff. All right, bye.